Okay, hi, hello. Today I am going to explain about elimination of unit production. That is the second step in simplification of CFG. In simplification of CFG, there are three steps: elimination of useless symbol, elimination of unit production, and elimination of epsilon or null production. So in the last video, we discussed about elimination of useless symbol. In this video, I am going to explain about elimination of unit production. First, what is meant by unit production? It is nothing but a variable tends to another single variable. So, for example, A is one variable, it tends to one more variable here. This is nothing but the unit production. So, this type of production we have to eliminate. So, why we have to eliminate this kind of production means then only it is possible to convert the given grammar into Chomsky normal form. So that is the next topic, Chomsky normal form. I'll explain it later. Now I have to explain the general format of Chomsky normal form. So the generalized structure of Chomsky normal form CNF is a variable tends to two variables. Here A is a single variable. It tends to B, C are two variables. So B is one variable, C is one more variable. This is one format. Or a variable tends to a single terminal symbol. A variable is caps A and terminal symbol is small a. So this is the generalized form of or generalized structure of Chomsky normal form. So we will discuss this detail in the next video. Here we have to eliminate the unit production. So here there are E, T, F. For these three variables, there are two production. Total six productions are there. So out of this production, E tends to, first we are taking the first production, E tends to E plus T or T. Here, first production is E tends to E plus T. Here it is not a unit production. But E tends to T is a unit production because a variable tends to one more variable. E tends to T is a unit production. We have to eliminate this unit production. It is a simpler method to eliminate this unit production by substituting the T production instead of this T. So we have to replace this T by substituting the T productions here. For example, E tends to E plus T, we have to write as it is. And for these T, we have to substitute these two production T asterisk F and the last production is F. Again here, E tends to F is a unit production. So we have to eliminate that unit production by substituting F production here. Instead of this F, we are substituting the F production. For F, there are two different production. There is no change in the first two production. E tends to E plus T, E tends to T asterisk F, but for this F, we are substituting the F production. F production is E within the parenthesis and A. So, this is the final grammar after eliminating the unit production. Here, there is no unit production is here. So E tends to A, but this A is a terminal symbol. If it is a variable, then this is the unit production. If it is a terminal symbol, this is not a unit production. For the remaining production, combination of variables and terminals are there. So we are after eliminating the unit production in the first grammar, this is the final productions. Similarly, do the same thing for the remaining two production. So for the second productions, second variable T, T tends to T asterisk F. Here there is no unit production, but T tends to F. It is the unit production. So we have to eliminate this F by substituting the F production here. So T tends to T asterisk F. For T tends to F, it is a unit production. For F, there are two productions within the parenthesis E and A. Now, for these productions, there is no unit production here. And the last production is F tends to within the parenthesis E and A. Here, there is no unit production, so no need to do anything. So, after eliminating unit production, the final grammar is E tends to E plus T, T asterisk F, E plus T is the first production, T asterisk F is the second production. Within the parentheses, E is the third and fourth one. So for T, T tends to T asterisk F, E. A, and for F, E and A. So here there is no single variable tends to another single variable. So this is the final grammar after eliminating unit production. There is one more example. S tends to AB, A tends to A. So in the first grammar, S tends to AB, it is not a unit production because here two variables are there. If it is a single variable, then it is a unit production. And A tends to A. So it is a terminal symbol. Again, it is not a unit production. B tends to C or B. For this B, it is a terminal symbol, no issues. But for C, it is a unit production. So we have to substitute the C production here. For C, the product, there is only one production, it is D. Again, it is a variable. For you have to replace this C by C production. C production is D, so replace C by D. Again, it is a unit production, so we can replace D by D production. For D, there are two different production, E, B, C. This B is from the B production itself, so we can write the B as it is. Again here B tends to E is a unit production. So for this E, we have to substitute the E production. For E, there are two different production, D, and the next production is AB, and the remaining production here it is BC and B. Here D and B are the terminal symbols and A, B, B, C are combination of terminal and variable. There is no single variable here in the production. After eliminating the unit production, this is the final grammar for B. And similarly do the same thing for C. C tends to D is a unit production. So we repeat the same thing. So if it is a unit production means instead of D, we are substituting the D production E and BC. So E and BC. Again C tends to E, it is a unit production. So here we are replacing the E by substituting E production. For E, there are two productions D and AB. So D, AB, BC. In the final grammar, there is no single variable on the right hand side. So here also we are eliminating the unit production. And the last one is D tends to E and D tends to BC. It is a combination of variable and terminal, so no issues here. But here T tends to E, it is a unit production. We are replacing this E by these two production D, A, B, B, C for D production. D, A, B, B, C. And for E, there is no unit production. So after eliminating all unit production, this is the final grammar. S tends to AB, A tends to A, B tends to D or AB or BC or B, C tends to D, AB or BC, D tends to D, AB or BC, and finally E, there is no change in the grammar. Here for all the grammar, there is no unit production. That is, a variable tends to another variable is not available here after eliminating unit production. Thank you.